Okay, so good evening, how you're doing? So today we are going to be wrapping up with HTML. So since HTML is a little bit easy, then there are no more things in it. So first, this is what we have done so far in our previous classes. So if you have not watched the video, please ask for the playlist. I'll give you the link to the playlist on YouTube, so you can watch them accordingly, right? So I'm going to be cleaning this all off, right? So over here, so I'm going to be cutting them out, right? So I have a free coding environment, right? So now basically there will be some CSS code here so that I need to clean up, right? So I have just the blue background. So today we'll be talking about a very important topics, which is the HTML JavaScript. We'll be talking about the HTML form. Then we'll talk about the HTML video and audio, how to add video and audio to your website, right? So now starting with the HTML JavaScript. Now remember when we talked about JavaScript, we talked about functionality, right? Functionality in the sense that making the website responsive, right? JavaScript is a top-notch code. It's like a back-end code, though. It's used for back-end website development, right? If you learn the full stack of JavaScript. So now what I'm going to be doing in this HTML JavaScript class, I'm going to be doing like a little introduction to JavaScript, a little thing that JavaScript does, and what is that thing? JavaScript actually changed the HTML element, right? So how can we prove that? Now we can come over here and create a p tag, right? A p tag without any content in it, and come here and add an ID and write demo. Now if I haven't taught you how to create a button, this is how. You create a button using the button tag, type submit, then you create the name of the button, right? Submit, right? Now inside here you create what we call, you can create an ID or you create an on-click. Now creating an on-click attribute, then putting in a function. This is like creating a function inside the on-click. So now what this is saying is that first of all I will need to get this element to JavaScript, and as well we have inline JavaScript, which is something like this. We did some kind of inline JavaScript where we did on click that we did, right? But we did not write the full code inside the element. So now we have the internal and the external JavaScript, right? The internal JavaScript can be done here. You could using your script tag, right? This way. So let's just clean all that. Now the reason why JavaScript is advisable to be run at the end of the website is because the website need to load first before the JavaScript code. Because if the JavaScript code is at the top, the JavaScript code loads first before the website, which may cause some crashes and all in your website, right? So you need to load the website first before adding up your JavaScript code. So yeah, what we are going to be doing here is very simple. Since I have the JavaScript code and I have a name I've given to this, now in JavaScript we use ID mostly for our naming. You can use class, but ID is preferable, right? So we can come here and say you create a variable. Now a variable is used to store data, right? Just like in school you have a name that is used to store all your data or your academic performance and all. So a variable is used to store this data as well when it comes to JavaScript. Now how do we create a variable? We can use a let. Now a let, then you give the variable name. You create the variable name. I'm using name. Then you use your equals to, right? You are assigning something to the name that it will bear this name wherever it is located, wherever it finds itself, right? So when we get to JavaScript class, we'll be learning deep down about this stuff, right? So now, after giving it name, what do? I declare that, okay, right? So I think I'm a little bit curious about this stuff. So look at what I will do here. To make things very easy for me, I will just use the external JavaScript, write this file to code the JavaScript. But what I will need to do is I will need to connect it. Yes, I will need to connect it to the HTML. So I need to come here, the first tag here, and give it a space, then create the SRC, attribute. So now what will be the SRC attribute? What will I put inside? The name of the JavaScript file, main.js. Now if I come over here, I will say let. Now you see that let name, right? I can change it to let element. Can change the name to element, right? Now then I come over here, I say document dot get element. That there's a document I want to get, dot get element by ID. That this document now that I want to get it by the ID name. And now I have a document here in my HTML that has an ID name demo. So how do I input the ID name? I just input my open and close bracket, right? Then input my quote. So quote I often use single quote or double quote, any of them is preferable. So I use my double quote and say demo. Right, this is written that way. DEMO, right? So I've gotten that. So the next thing to do now is that the function I created, this is called a function, right? I need to create it inside there. So now the function has an attribute called onClick. So the onClick attribute, what it does is that it actually gives you direction, right? Like it actually sends when a button is clicked. So now how do we know that? We come over here and we create a function for you, and now we have to give it the particular function name that we pass in the onClick here, this name, which is fun, F-U-N. So we'll come over here and put the font. Then we'll clean all the parametric stuff inside of it, right? So it now has the function and the name on it. Now watch this. Let me run this website first for clarification. When you are running JavaScript, you use console to see stuff. You see that the console is empty even while I'm pressing the button. But now I want to run a code to check if it's actually working, if the onClick is actually working. We have the console.log. Now I'm trying to view something in my console log, right? So I'm saying if the button is clicked, say hello user, right? So now if the button is clicked, it's showing hello user, right? Now it's showing how many times I've clicked the button. It's saying that I've clicked the button 14 times, and the message is still the same, hello user, right? So you can see that. So this is to show that now the code actually works. The function, the onClick code that was in the HTML actually works, right? So now what can I do? Since I have named this as element, I can come here and call that name, because the element is like now where this the demo that is empty is stored. I can come there and say element, right? Is the name dot inner HTML. Then I can assign it inner HTML, that is inside of the HTML code. Now I can assign it to another code, to something else. It have been blunt. I can say good morning. Now if you click on it, it shows good morning, right? So now let's assume the code before had something in it. Yeah, it has something in it. It has good afternoon, right? When you click on it, it actually changes. So JavaScript actually helps you change the HTML value, the HTML color from the original state to something else. JavaScript can do that. It has the power to do that, right? JavaScript is a lot more of a condition statement. If the time is within the range of 6 to 12, 6 to 11, 60, you greet good morning and all those conditions stuff and all. We are going to be looking deep down into that when we get to the JavaScript class. But for now, let's begin to dive into the HTML form, right? So now creating a HTML form is quite an easy one, right? So you come over here, you create the form, right? The form tag. They keep giving me a lot of stuff that I might not want. So yeah, to a beginner, all those that see, you can see that they are active, right? They have their functions, right? So most of them, like 2 of them that was there, was for anyone that has idea of back-end programming language, or if you are creating a website that a back-end developer will actually come and put some stuff, you have to indicate this stuff there, right? So now let's talk about the form. I have created the HTML form now. So this is like the form, the body that holds everything about the form. Now we have what we call the label. Now you label the form, right? For, you can say name, right? Now after that, you put in what I call a B arrow, right? The B arrow is like a line break. Now you put in the input field where users will input their text. Then we can input, yeah, you see, input text. Let's run it and see how it looks. Now you see how it looks over here, right? So let's off the console, right? You see how it looks. So we can do that for others. We can say username. We can just change this to username. Then change this as well. Then now we can come over here, then put in another BR here. Go back. BR. Then come here, label again. For this can be for password, right? Then you come here, you input your BR. Then over here you can input your input field again, and now this time your input type would be password, right? You can also request for email for login, username or email, right? So if you want to do that, let's put another BR, let's put another label for email, right? So our BR comes here, then we input our input, then instead of type we put email, the type will be email, right? So now you see something, okay. So I'll put in my BR over here. Now I will input a BR over here, and I haven't done that. I'll create a button. type submit, and then I'll input send. Now you can see this button, right? Now for some reason you are not seeing anything, but I'm clicking on the button, right? It doesn't even look like I'm clicking a button or the button is acting towards this. But if I fill this form, I say Webbeeves, and I say I put in my Gmail here, and I put in a regular random password. Now you see that the details are wiped out. That means they have been submitted. So what a backend developer does is that it takes that data that have been submitted and save it into a database, right? But that is not all what I want you guys to know today. So I want to teach you more of what you can do with a form. Sorry, I'm trying to refer back. Okay, so now we can input something we call required. So required means that the user have to input this field in order to pass this state. So if I come here, I say required. I come here, say required, and also come here and I say required. Now the computer will not just allow me to submit a random thing, right? Now even though I try to submit something that is not an email, it will tell me that please include an @ in the email address. So something is missing in the email. I still try to submit, say it's incomplete, so I need to input email at email, right, .com, right? Do you understand? So use the wrong positioning, and you see it doesn't allow me to submit this form, right? So that's another thing. So we can also input what we call a placeholder that gives direction of what you should input inside. Though the label is meant for to label the input field, but some other people might not really still understand it. So you have to input what we call a placeholder. So I will go a placeholder, and inside of it you have to input please. You have to put please, input your please input your name, then you can put in a dot this way, then you can come over here, do the same thing, placeholder, then you can say enter email, right? Something very easy. And here the same thing, placeholder, so enter password. So here I want to change it to enter name, right? So now you see that, okay, you see how this looks, but I don't have the same thing over here. So let me see what's the problem. Let's go in again. So that was inputted in the button instead of putting that in the input field. I inputted it in the submit button, so it was wrong. So what I can do is I can cut it and paste it somewhere around here. So pasting it somewhere around there, right? paste. So now we have this, and I noticed that the required wasn't here as well, so I can input one, right? So this is basically an input field. It looks nice on its own perspective. So we have the type, right? We have noticed that whenever I create an input, right, an input element, I have a type. Now we have a different type of input type you can put. Number one is the text, meaning that you are inputting a text. So what I want to do is that I want to create a lot of BROs. Copy, then paste. Then I put H arrow. The H arrow also doesn't have an ending tag, so it will help me create a line, right? So yes, we have something like this. So now we have known the first type we can input here. So the first type is text. We can input the radio. Now you see what this is, right? You can see that it's like a clicking stuff. Then over here you can input your text, like your text, like it's like a list, a kind of list. So you can also input your checkbox, right? This is also like a checkbox, good and all that stuff, right? So you can also input your submit, and you can also turn it into a button. Now you can see it's a button, but it doesn't have a name, right? So you also name the button. So these are some of the ideas you can use with this, and I've talked about HTML forms. So lastly, let's go into video and importing our videos and also as well as our audios. So first thing first, we have to import our videos and our audios to our website. So how do we import them? We go to import files. Though I don't really have a particular audio, but let me check, maybe I might find one. Okay, let me look for something. So I can use this. Anything can work at this moment. So let me check if I have my audio here. It hasn't arrived yet. So let me import files again. I'm looking for something small of that range, right? So okay, so I wanted to check to make sure that it's still recording. Okay, so I have the audio now, so let's import our video. So wow, okay, WhatsApp videos, right? So let me use this. So now what I want to do, first things first, I want to rename the video because the video name is too long, to video, VID. Then I want to rename this to audio as well. Rename this to AUD. Right? Now you can see the form at which they are saved. This one is saved as audio.mp3 and this one is saved as video.mp4. So that is the extension we use to save videos and audio. So how do we achieve the videos? First, we use the video tag. Now, a lot of things are here, but I will remove some of them that are not required. So I will just leave the width there. Now, some of these right. So I will remove this and input here. I will input 400. That is the weight of the image. And now the next command that is very important is the control command. Controls. Now the next thing inside the video tag, you have to specify the source of your video. Where is your video, right? That is the source. Where is your video? The question that is being asked. Where is the location of your video, right? So now the source now carries your SRC, which is where your video is located, and the name of your video. So the name of my video is actually video.mp4, right? And I can put a type, that is the type of my file. Then I can put video, you can see my type is video/mp4, right? So let's run it. So you see how it looks over there. So let's change this to 200. It seems like it's too big. And the height, let's change it to 200 as well. Or maybe we can put that to 300. Okay, let's put this to 300. So I think this will be good enough. So now you can see that it play and it begins to play. There is a lot of control there. You can see download, playback speed, on mute and all. So that's how we import all the videos. So how about audios? Audios is like the same. You just input your audio, right? So sorry about this. You input your audio tag right this way. Then you come over here, you input your controls. Then you come over here, you input your source, right? Now our source name, the name is SRC. Supposed to be SRC, right? So yes. Then what's the name of our video, our audio? Now we have the audio here. So thank you very much. So now next class I might be doing a video to conclude HTML and a little bit of CSS, like a project, working on a real life project, like a project with HTML and just little of CSS. Or I might just get into CSS and then when we are done with CSS I do the video. So I will be creating something very, very classic, right? So depend on the way it I just tend to think about it, right? So please, this is the end of the HTML class. Do well to practice, keep practicing, and surely you'll be perfect now. Thank you. Have a great day. Please support me, like, follow, subscribe, comment, encourage me with your words, and I'll be glad as you do that. Thank you guys.